I'll go back now to the discussion on the effects of the government shutdown and preview at the same time what's next on the agenda for Congress. And joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Glenn Grothman. He serves on several House committees, including the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. He represents the 6th Congressional District of Wisconsin. Congressman Grothman, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you.
Glad to be on the show, Jody, and glad to have a chance to talk to you again. We served, as you know, 8 years together in the U.S. Congress.
Yep, absolutely. Sat side by side, in fact, on the Oversight Committee. So let's talk about this. Yesterday, the White House released some perhaps not so surprising data on the Schumer shutdown. The National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, actually said that the Democratic shutdown cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 billion per week, a stunning amount of money. Were you surprised by that finding?
Well, it was a little bit high. I'll tell you what surprised me, Jody. When they finally reached a deal, including Democrats making the deal, and the Democrats did get some things in this deal we can talk about in a minute, I was shocked that only 6 of the 215 Democrats who are congressmen voted to reopen the government. Even after a deal was reached, 209 Democrat congressmen wanted to keep the government closed. And we were just getting to a point where it was really affecting people. I mean, 2 or 3 weeks in, I don't have a big government presence in my district. The major thing I was getting at home is, who cares? It doesn't affect me. And it affected very few people. But we were just getting at the point where it was causing airline travel to slow down. We were getting to the point where EBT or food stamps was not being paid. And anyway, 219 Democrats, I think just because they personally don't like President Trump, said, no, we want to keep the government closed. Like I said, it surprised me. I don't know what you say if you're running for re-election and saying that, this far in, you still didn't want to open the government, but that's the way it was.
Yep, and we'll see how that all goes. As I mentioned, introducing you, you serve on the Oversight Committee, which is very much responsible for checking into any area of our government where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. So overall, a very, very busy committee. But when you look at the Schumer shutdown, as it's been called, of course, millions of Americans were deprived of their SNAP benefits and so forth. But Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins also found some disturbing news of fraud and abuse in the program, a host of things, among which was some 5,000 dead people who are still receiving benefits. Your reaction to that?
It's a complete mess, and they ought to send these things back to the state. This is true whenever you have such a large country. We're right now at a position in which we have over 40 million people on food stamps. It's not surprising. We have a lot of illegal immigrants on the program. We have dead people on the program. We have people probably working for cash on the program. It's filled with fraud. And like I said, as far as I'm concerned, they can send it back to the states or counties who I think would be a little bit more on the ball as far as preventing this from happening. Not to mention, I took the time during the shutdown to tour some of my local food banks. There are food banks all around the country. I happen to tour 3 in the 6th Congressional District. And one of the things you notice is how much more the volunteer organizations, the churches in the food banks care about the people they're giving food to. You don't see, as you go through those lines, Pop-Tarts. You don't see Mountain Dew. You don't see other, what I'll refer to as junk food. On the national level, when Congress votes for this stuff, they're getting PAC checks from the food processors to keep every piece of garbage out there. And it shows, the uncaring Congress and what they're giving people, particularly when we got an obesity epidemic in America, diabetes epidemic. So I think that's one of the things that we learned, and I hope that Congress, next time we reauthorize the food stamp program, we're saying only real food, not this crap, which is not good for Americans, and quite frankly is a benefit that on some foods your average American cannot afford, but the people on food stamps can.
Good point. Let me switch gears with you if I can. The Jeffrey Epstein scenario is still a major focal point in Congress, unfortunately, I guess. But Democrats on the Oversight Committee released some additional Epstein documents. Your reaction to what they released?
Well, I think it's always interesting the more you get, names of famous people that show up. They keep looking for something, and with President Trump, they weren't able to find anything there one more time. But it's a sign of the moral decline in America that they apparently got hundreds, if not thousands, of men to go out on this island, and some quite famous ones, like a lot of Americans. I'll be watching as we release more and more documents.
We'll see how that unfolds. And of course, the swearing in of Representative Adelita Grijalva of Arizona, she will now be the 218th, the deciding vote to release the discharge petition on the Epstein files. So that's coming forward. In fact, Speaker Johnson said going to be voting probably next week. What do you anticipate the discharge petition is going to do? Is that going anywhere?
Well, it's going to pass because, like you just said, we have 218 votes already. I don't know what the Senate's going to do with it. I am curious as to what is being hidden. I know President Trump feels we're releasing enough on the Oversight Committee. We don't have to do anymore. We're going to be winding up exposing innocent victims of this thing. But we'll see how the vote works out. To me, I think politically the government wants it, and it would be nice if our speaker just said, everybody vote yes and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, that might be exactly what happens. We shall see. Thank you so much, Wisconsin Congressman Glenn Grothman. Always great to see you, my friend.
Glad to be on the show.